I wake up in the morning and for probably about 2 to 5 minutes, I just look at myself and say, I love you. Nothing else, but I love you.
You're listening to the Kristof Lewis Podcast, a podcast where I have conversations with inspirational people. My name is Chris, but my family calls me Kristof. My goal is to have as many conversations as possible with people who have forged their own path by pursuing their dreams, making them a reality, all the while emitting positivity and sharing this knowledge with others. I seek these people out and share this information with you, proving to the world that you can do what makes you happy and do what you want for a living while being a good human being. We'll talk about careers, but we'll also cover any story that inspires. Let's do this while helping each other. Thanks for listening. I'm happy you're here. What's up, my friends? Welcome to the Kristof Lewis Podcast. This is conversation number 46. My guest is Justin Rhedrick. He's a health coach, a life coach, and he's a great human being, and I was so excited to talk to him. We talked a little bit about what he does for business just in the beginning of the podcast here for a few minutes. He had a vegan business. We talked about that for a little bit, for about maybe the first 10 minutes or so, and then from minute 10 all the way through to the end of the podcast, we got into some very heavy stuff about how to live your life better, not just for you, but for your family, for your friends, everything that you could possibly want to do when you want to better yourself physically, when you want to better yourself mentally, all encompassing. As I always say, it all ties together. If you want to be a better person, it starts within. You need to give your family and your friends the time they deserve so that you can go out into the world with a clear and a healthy mind to attack your day. Now, without further ado, welcome to the Kristof Lewis Podcast.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, man. I really enjoyed talking to you, man. You hit me up on Instagram and we direct message. I really liked what you were doing. Well, first of all, I liked what we were talking about. I liked what was on your page. And then we did a Skype call to kind of touch base and see if we were a good fit for the podcast. I love what you were doing. So you are I guess let me backtrack one more second. You are the BitcoinVegan. So what I liked about that is not only it's just you're hitting so many different things there. Like Bitcoin, for nobody that knows, that would blow my mind already. But Bitcoin being cryptocurrencies, and then vegan being a lifestyle, food and other things other choices that you make in life, and then bringing them two together. And I'd like to kind of peer into your mind a little bit more of why you chose those two things to build into a business. But yeah, man, I love what you're doing. I was just telling you before we started recording, it's really positive. You're getting out there, and much like everybody that I talk to, you are equally just putting good vibes out into the world. So I was very excited to speak with you.
Yes, sir. Well, about BitcoinVegan, it's real cool. So I learned, I think I had transitioned to a vegan diet in late 2015, and during that time, it was just the time for me. I felt like making changes. I think I just turned 26. Yeah, I just found out I was having my little girl. I really wanted to set a different trend than what everybody was doing, and I really had gone vegan for my daughter, to give her a healthier option in life.
Sure.
And so from there, because I was going between a job, so I started fixing vegan food. And one of my friends you should cook this for people. I'm like, you think? So I ended up, I never made it to an official business, but it was still cool. It was called Vegan on the Go, and I had aspirations of taking it to that level. In summer of 2016, I found one of my friends I had known since I was 12. And I looked at his page. I had watched the movie Dope. I saw Bitcoin. I was like, oh, all right. But then his name, on Instagram was Bitcoin Zay. And so I said, yo, what is this? What's going on with this? And he literally broke it down to me, basically saying it's a currency that's not, government issued. He said you could do, at least at that point, you could still do three things with it. You could spend it, you could save it, you could trade it. And I was like, and you could hold it. And I was like, so you telling me I can hold this for a period of time and, I I could possibly like buy a house or do things. He said, yeah, it takes time. He said, if you got patience, it could work for you. I'm like, well, bro, I have patience.
Yeah.
At that time, I was desperately looking for something for value to hold, and, to pass down. So I was like, all right, this is brand new. And I remember my parents would say, or my aunt and my mom and my uncle would say how my granddad could have, I think he could have invested in Microsoft in like the early '90s, but he never took the opportunity.
Yeah.
I said, I don't want that to be the story for me when I get about 70 or 80. So I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take advantage of this. Like no matter what,
Yeah.
we're gonna ride this out. So I started doing a bit more research on both of them, being a vegan and Bitcoin. And what stuck out to me the most was both of them are doing things that are outside the norm.
Yeah. Okay.
Like you have a certain level, a different level of freedom, if you will. Like, veganism, you can grow your own food, cook it, whatever. You don't have to wait to, go to a store, or if you don't live on a farm. You're taking yourself outside of the normal American diet. And with Bitcoin, like I said, it's a decentralized currency. So then again, outside of the normal issue of fiat currency, I felt like people need to know more about both. So I said to myself, well, if you just put these names together, it might just spark something in someone's mind to be like, wow, what is either one of those?
Yeah.
And so I have a passion for both of them, but I also knew with my passion for it and my drive for doing whatever, people would start asking more and more about it. It might stir in their brains, hey, I might go buy some Bitcoin. I might consider going vegan, or if not even going vegan, just eating healthier, So
yeah, that's
really in a nutshell of why I put those two together.
When did you first get into Bitcoin? When did you start being a vegan?
I first got into Bitcoin in July 2016, and I transitioned to a vegan diet in November 2015.
Okay, so you definitely been doing the vegan stuff, yeah, and they're definitely a little bit different than the common trend. I mean, you spoke about, we'll attack one at a time here, but so being a vegan, yes, it's quite substantially different than what Americans are typically consuming. From what I've seen, the average American doesn't eat a healthy lifestyle at all. The obesity numbers are astronomical now more than ever, all through adulthood, all children, and there needs to be a huge change. Now, I will say that I'm like a libertarian in the sense of where I don't typically care what you do with your body as long as it doesn't harm me or harm somebody else. But at the same time, I'm doing this podcast for a reason, because I want to help people. So at the same time, I would love, and I do tell people on and off the podcast, in my life, like, these are healthier choices to make. And so, and I say that because, like, you can do, I don't care what you do to yourself, but you need to know at least the options. I see fast food all the time, and I wish there was more. And, the information's out there. I just think people just don't care. I'm not really sure what's going on, or they think it's maybe too much work to eat healthy. I don't know. Why would you think people are not taking the time to eat healthy?
So, I mean, yeah, money is a part of it, but then we're going to stem to something else. So, all right, around that time, 2016, I was like, people were asking me, how can I go vegan? I want to go vegan. So I just deemed myself this vegan coach. But I really didn't understand coaching. I just knew how to tell people what to buy, what to cook, and you need to stick with it, but not really dealing with a lot of the mental, emotional things that are attached to with eating. That's when I became, like I said, like we talked about, certified health and life coach. But to answer that question, it's like a lot of people are geared towards doing what's comfortable for them.
Yeah.
When you do anything healthy, like even if you just want to increase your whole plant food, it's like a big, like, wow, you want me to eat that? Like I had a friend, he watched me eat a bell pepper raw, and he said, yo, you're not gonna get sick? I'm like, nah, this not going to happen, So there's a big misconception of what eating healthy is, number one. Number two, a lot of people just eat what they've seen their family eat.
Yeah.
A lot of recipes grandmama's recipe, your mom's recipe, like you are watching this being made, and this is now a part of you. Like you might help in the kitchen. You know, your wife might bring in foods from her family. Now you're building this new diet for your children, but you don't really know how to step outside it, especially if your family was never healthy. So
yeah,
I wanted my child to see me cook healthy meals,
yeah,
so it becomes second nature to her. And like you said, it is a lot of work, you know, because eating healthy takes planning, especially if you don't live in a city where there's a lot of health options. Like I've been to DC. DC has a lot of nice vegan options. You know, DC is great. But you might live in these food deserts where, you know, man, there's not a lot of options, and people always go to what's convenient.
yeah,
And then they don't want to feel like the outcast. Like, you know, if my whole family is big and I'm the one that's losing weight and being healthy, then I might not feel like I belong.
yeah,
So that's another thing. Like, don't feel love, belonging. They're not going to do anything. So if I'm the only one getting healthy in the family, you know, I'm not going to feel like I belong. I don't feel like they love me. You know, so then I'm just going to resort back to what I used to do and
yeah,
what's easier for me, eating unhealthy, and, you know, might eat a salad every other week and feel, you know, feel that little mental void of like, well, I'm doing something, but not making it consistent. That makes sense?
No, it absolutely makes sense. That was a perfect answer. It's really difficult when your family and your friends, no matter what it is, if you're eating healthy or you're trying to get in shape or you're just trying to better yourself overall, if the people that you surround yourself with, either by default with family or the people that you choose, your friends, now when all those people or the majority of those people are doing the things that you're trying not to do, that's tough. That's very tough to break that because of what you just said, especially family. Like, wow, am I the outcast, or, you know, what are they going to think of me? Like, this is how our family's been doing it for generations and generations, and it's hard to break that. It's really hard to break that. I think you really need to reach down deep and realize why you want to do it, the health factors, and then one, for yourself, you want to do it regardless of where you're trying to make this change, health, you know, knowledge, whatever it is. You want to realize why you're doing it for yourself, and then as you're doing it for yourself, maybe try to share it with your family. But I think for somebody, like, if I was to give somebody advice on maybe was in a situation like that, I would say you just need to, like, probably get all your family together because you probably care that much about it, and you just need to tell them, you need to be honest with them why you're doing this, and be like, I understand, you know, this is how we do things, this is how we consistently do things, and this is the normal for us, but this is what I've been thinking, this is what's on my mind, and these are why I'm doing these things. And, you know, honestly, whether you support me or not, I'm going to do it, because I know a lot of times family, we love them to death, and family loves you to death. But a lot of times family members don't give the best advice because they, through no fault of their own, you know, they want the best for you. They love you to death. They'll hug you and squeeze you and kiss you and miss you. But they are not knowledgeable always on the things that you're trying to gain knowledge in. So as much as they love you, they're not the ones that are, you know, gonna give you the sound advice that you need to hear. They may just tell you what you want to hear. So when you're trying to better yourself, it can be really easy to get sucked back into all those things, because maybe it seems like you're the crazy one, or what you're doing, it just ain't right. But I think that's like the long-winded answer to maybe how to get through to that, because I've talked to a lot of people that have said similar things, and they've just like, well, just cut them out of your life. And I guess it depends on
you can't cut them out all the time, like,
especially with family. You know how you were talking about. You can't cut out your family. I would say maybe if they are absolutely detrimental to your health, mental health and physical health, then there are probably circumstances where you need to cut somebody out just because they're not good. But I think for the most part, depending on who they are in your life, family or friends, what kind of friends are they, then you can apply different methods. But I think ultimately you can't sacrifice what you really want in life. As long as you're not, again, as long as you're not like infringing on who they are and what they believe and all that stuff, I think that if you're trying to just better yourself and that differs from them, then they're going to either support you or not, but you should still do what you want to do.
Yeah, most definitely. It's like a question sometimes I ask some of my clients. It's a question like, well, you know, when you're going after a goal, who might be affected by it positively or negatively? Most of the time it's negatively who I want to know. Because that, like you said, that is what stops people from doing things. let's say, for instance, you hang around a group of friends and y'all are all actors, you know, and you're all aspiring to be Hollywood actors or whatever. And you're the only one getting roles now. You're getting called. You know, all y'all were probably broke, stayed in the same studio apartment, whatever, you know, working together to get that role. But now you're getting these roles, you're getting these leads. And it's like, you know, like I was saying, you might not feel the same as connected because you're the one that's earning income. And so sometimes by default, people find ways subconsciously and accidentally to gravitate back to, you know, like I said, those friends, those families.
Yeah.
But, you know, true indeed, like sometimes your friends or your family might not know exactly what to do because, A, they're not on that path of growth overall.
Yeah.
Or B, they don't really understand, you know. So it is a deal, and it is really around family. Like my mom was supportive of me, and she would just say, well, you know, if you like it, just keep doing it, you know, because it is something healthy. And sometimes people catch on, and sometimes having the family that doesn't get it and that's not supportive could be a good thing because it now instills discipline in you, and you get to just vibe stronger. So it has two different meanings depending upon what meaning someone wants to give.
Yeah, and I definitely think having that support from your family is absolutely key. I was just talking to Andy Dane Carter about it in the last conversation, and he was saying his three things. I mean, he's a business mogul, and he starts with family first, and then he focuses on spirituality, and then he goes out and attacks his businesses because he knows he needs to get his mind right. And we're talking about support from your family and friends. He needs to get his mind right with his family and friends, make sure they're good, or his family specifically, I should say, because family's number one. And then two, he gets his mind right in spirituality. And then with those things, knowing a sound body and mind, then he's able to go out and attack what's in front of him. So I would highly recommend that to everybody. And it goes with, like, it's that as well. And then another person I was talking to about it, David Meltzer, was saying, it's, you know, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. So those people that you keep in your life around you, that you keep close and have a constant interaction with you in your life, will set your future for you. Because if you're keeping negative friends in your life or you're keeping unhealthy friends in your life, these are friends, so they're by choice. So if you're keeping those people in life or in your life, it's definitely going to have a reflection on what you're doing. And I know that I'm very particular about the people that I keep closely in my life because I'm obsessed with making this podcast big. I'm obsessed with creating a business. I'm obsessed with bettering my family, and I'm about to be obsessed with the birth of my daughter. I think at the time of this recording, this is going to probably come out within days after her birth in mid-February. So that'll be incredible. Yeah, man. So like I know what you're saying about, and I guess let me go back a couple minutes when you were talking about being a father as well, and you want to set a good example. I'm not a parent yet, but I can just tell living my life that setting an example, you know, when I try to be a leader, when I am a leader, I want to set an example because you can say all you want. It's like my boy Phil McCarthy says, that's been on the podcast too. Action over intent. So you can have this good intentions. You could say what you want to do. You can say all these things, but until you actually start taking action, it doesn't matter what you say. So if you care about changing your life physically, mentally, spiritually, you want to have a better relationship with your family, you want to have a better relationship with your friends, you want to have better friends that support you, yeah, you need to start taking action, and you need to start telling those people or just snipping, trimming the fat away.
And I like how you said taking action. I just posted something on Instagram, and it says showing up is 80% of success. Showing up and like that, taking action, or starting a business. When I had started Vegan on the Go, I really did not have much knowing of how to go about a food business. The only thing I knew was once you get started, you will see the way. Or better yet, here's something else. If you have a strong enough why, then the how will appear. I wanted to have things for my daughter. That was my why. That's the only thing I had. So how ending up showing up because I was taking action to do things.
Yeah.
And I don't really look at failure as failure. So whether it was, doing something and it may be wrong, but I get the feedback to do it again, so making those steps will actually show you to the leader, of a father, especially to a daughter, because now you'll set that example for any man that comes into our life. And that's the reason why I really don't stop at things. Like, that's why I even contacted you. I was like, well, hey, there's only one thing that can happen here, yes or no. So we go see what happens.
Yeah.
But you have to take an action is a big thing, and
absolutely, and you'd be surprised what happens. I just like you contacted me, it's no secret that I contact hundreds and literally into the thousands of people in the last year to be on this podcast. And I always say, yes, I've contacted that many people, but they're all intentional who I'm contacting, because we are fortunate enough to have that many good people out there. So absolutely, I am thrilled that you contacted me. And that's how I've gotten a lot of my guests is you have to, it's tough until you make up your mind, because historically I've always said, well, it's tough, but then recently in the last few weeks I've been like, that's bullshit. It's easy when you make up your mind. It may take a little bit longer, but it's easy. And you have to have the courage to, if you're going to say that these are my goals and, I want to speak to this person, I want to be on this podcast, or I want this person to be on my podcast, or I want to set this example for my daughter, for my wife, for whoever it is in your family. Well, man, you got to go out there and you got to take action, and you have to lead by example.
Mm-hmm. That's very key. That's very key.
But and not be afraid to contact people, because I tell you, I've talked to some people that I truly look up to, and to me, I was pretty nervous. Like, I don't get nervous asking people, but I would be a little bit nervous asking, like, if you know anybody that would want to be on the podcast. Like, these are things that you can't be afraid of if you want something to grow that you've never, like, I've never done this before. Before you did what you're doing right now, clearly you never did it before. So you have to take risks, and you have to check your ego to be able to ask and be like, well, I don't know this stuff, or I'm starting this, and I'd be honored to talk to you or do whatever you're trying to do. You just have to be bold and courageous.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think you had liked a post of mine. I don't know if you had liked the post or started following. I think you liked the post, and I just like I've never seen this guy like my stuff before. So then I went to your page. I saw a podcast. I'm like, all right. So one thing, like me as a coach, like you were speaking about being bold, I email places in my city to do talks. Like, I have a talk called 7 Ways to Kick the Sugar Habit. And I've emailed, called, whatever, a lot of places. It's cold calling too. It's cold calling. So, hey, how you doing? What's going on? I'm Justin. I'm a certified life coach, health coach. I'm going to do a talk there. Oh, we don't allow people here. Okay. Check off the list, go to someone else. It's kind of like in sports, you have a next play mode. It's just, it's not, you can't dwell over it,
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can't be afraid. Like I said earlier, you can't fear no's and rejection, because it's not really a no. It's just opening the door to another yes.
Exactly.
That's just how I perceive things. And I tell people, you have to be a disaster before you become a master. So you go through the ups and downs, you go through the rough patches. You might go through, having some big thing happen in your business, and it's possible it might just even out for a while, then the steps. But when you look at life as a staircase, and an ascending staircase at that, it's quite normal to get leg cramps, for your ankles to go out, knees get heavy. It's quite normal for your legs to get tired, to take a rest, or it's quite normal to go through these things, but that doesn't mean you go back down the stairs. It just means you keep going.
Yeah.
And you make things happen. And what I want to say is you be intentional. Like when you are intentional with things you do in life, whether it's how you wake up in the morning, you plan out your day, you're intentional. I want to set this tone. Like, before I got on this call with you, I asked myself, and I got this from Brendan Bouchard. I read his book. He said, ask yourself who you want to be before going to any type of situation. Yeah. And I said, I just want to be cool, relax, have fun, but be, still be clear, about things, and just send goodness to people, no matter what. So, when you set your intentions on any particular thing in life, and you set really a positive intention, you possibly would never lose.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. I haven't read it. I don't know about Brendan too much, but I've seen him everywhere on social media. I have seen that book. I have probably 50 books I need to read before I am allowing myself to order another book. I have too many books that I haven't read. But yeah, I've heard good things about that book. But yes, setting your intention before you do things, reminding yourself why you're doing things. That's why I've recently struck up, well, I've gone back to working out in the morning, but I recently specifically struck up doing the meditation and then practicing gratitude in the morning before I even go to the gym. Because when I do the meditation, it kind of clears my mind. It allows me to center myself with my mind and body before I do anything for the day. And then practicing gratitude is kind of in conjunction with intention, because at the same time, I have all these thoughts wandering in my head of what I'm thankful for and what I'm grateful for. But on the same time, I'm thinking about all the things and how I want to approach the day. Like I'm grateful for my home. I'm literally grateful that I can heat it, that I can cool it, that I have a roof over my head. But at the same time, I need to, as soon as I thank, I'm so thankful for the stuff in my life, it reminds me how I want to continue out, and I want to share that positivity with the world. So I always say, like, all these things are connected. If you practice one thing, I think you'll be more prone to practicing another thing. Because I didn't practice gratitude until I started practicing meditation. And then it wasn't more effective at the gym. I'll tell you, Justin. I worked out. I'll give you an example, like a very recent example. When I was in the Navy, I worked out every morning, and I was tired, and I didn't get a good workout in because I was just tired. I snoozed like 5 times, and I was so tired. And people have been hearing me I've been talking about snoozing a lot lately. But I'm telling you, doing 3 things before I go to the gym now, I haven't been more pumped up at the gym like in my life, no matter what time I've ever gone. So I wake up, I don't snooze, then I meditate, and then I practice gratitude. I knock out 3 huge things before I even go to the gym, and those things set my mind up. And I get to the gym, and I have been crushing it more than I ever have. I'm not even tired, and it's 5:30 in the morning, and that's, for me, that's unreal. And it's because, like, then that fuels me to want to continue doing it so consistently before, because I'm seeing these results mentally. And I've never gotten to a gym at 5:30 in the morning, regardless of the day or how I was feeling or how happy or sad I was, and felt that much energy and just wanted to crush it. And I think when you realign your goals and you have these, like I was talking to Andy again about it, the other conversation, but when you have these non-negotiables in your life that and again, I was talking to somebody at work, like it just comes up all the time. He was saying, he was 5 years ago, he looked at himself in the mirror and he's like, I'm sick of this shit. I'm going to make a difference. So, when you, whether it's fitness, you're sick of how you're looking or what you're doing in life, or you still keep the same shitty friends in your life, there's going to be, hopefully there's a point in your life that you come to where you're like, I'm sick of this shit. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to get in the gym. I'm going to be consistent about it. I'm going to stop not going to the gym, because a lot of people go and then they like slowly taper out, or they start something and they slowly taper out, like all these New Year's resolutions. And that's why I'm not an advocate of New Year's resolutions. I'm just like, start now. But you got to have these non-negotiables where you get them done regardless. And if you don't get them done, then your goals aren't important to you, or as important to you as you think they are. Because if you truly cared about getting them done, then these indeed would be non-negotiables, and there was no way that you would negotiate it out of your head that you wouldn't do these things. And that's why I start my day the way I start it now, and I'm sure as shit going to continue to do it, because I've immediately, I haven't been doing it more than a week. I haven't, I'm telling you, and I've seen amazing results, and I feel like I'm a pretty self-aware guy. I'm always truly trying to better myself every day, but I've seen like, I was trying to explain to my wife, like when you're in the gym and you have like a physical plateau, and it seems like no matter what you do, you can't lift higher weight or whatever you're trying to do. And I've had this like life plateau where I'm doing good. Like my brain is level, I'm level-headed, I'm clear, I'm so thankful and grateful for everything. But I'm like, why not level up again? You can still level up. Like, be more grateful, be more thankful, attack life even more ferociously, and just be a better person. There's nothing wrong with that at all. So that's what I've been trying to implement with this meditation and gratitude and no snoozing things that have really just helped propel me into the physical aspect of my world. And then, you know, before I get to my actual job at 6:45 a.m., I've done 4 incredible things for me that have absolutely set me up for success.
Right. And that's dope. First of all, I want to say that's dope as hell, because taking charge of your morning is a key for any daily activity. So one thing I do that I learned in my health coaching school, I wake up in the morning, and for probably about 2 to 5 minutes, I just look at myself and say, I love you. You know, nothing else but I love you.
Good.
And I recommend any of your listeners to do that as well, because what that does is, like, you're looking at yourself, and sometimes you might not like something about yourself, but you're saying, I love you. I'm like, man, I'm looking kind of fat, but I love you. You know, oh, my teeth look kind of crooked, but I love you. And not only does that happen, but it's very similar to what you were saying. And what it is you're taking time out for yourself.
Yeah.
I know you said one guy, he said that he puts family.
Yeah, Andy puts family first, and spirituality, and then his work.
Okay. And I get all of that. But sometimes with certain individuals, you know, they might put family first so much they can't even give themselves 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like when you really think about it, sometimes it's hard for people to stay still and even meditate. Why it's hard for people to meditate? Because they've been conditioned to be on the go, out the bed. I got to get out of bed, go. I go to work. I might not even eat. You know what I'm saying? But and in their mind, it's like, I got to get up, go to work, feed the family. But I didn't even eat yet. Or I didn't meditate yet. I didn't feed myself any type of way spiritually. And so at times, I tell folks, you know, it's not bad to put yourself first in that regard. Because then you are, like how you go out there, you wake up, you meditate, you give gratitude. You do that first thing out the bed, and that's with you. Then that gives you energy to know, you know, I knocked out 3 to 4 things before I even went to work. You're a better performer at work. You come home, you're a better husband to your wife.
Absolutely.
Within a few months, you'll be a better father and husband. And that's because you've given yourself time first thing in the morning. And with that happening, you are now giving everyone else an A+ version of Kristof, as opposed to certain people, like I said, they might wake up in the morning, they probably don't eat, they don't meditate, and in their mind, they have the positive intention of, I'm doing this for others. But these other people, your job, your family, your children, they're getting the C- version of you, because those 5 little minutes, those 2 to 10 little minutes focused completely on self have not been given to them. Mm-hmm. And it filters out, because now, like when I'm in the mirror and I might say, I love you. It's like you almost are setting yourself. It's like meditation. It's like being in a trance. You will actually see, like, wow, this is how I'm supposed to feel. You know, I'm supposed to go through my day with this type of calmness to then make everything else more effective. You know, it's because people say, I got to do things faster, and you're messing up. You're going faster, you're messing up, then you got to come back and you got to go back. But actually giving yourself first, as we do, it makes your day more productive and more effective. And then you'll be able to just check things off as they go. Yeah. You know, check them off as they go.
Yeah.
So giving that, owning that morning and owning it by giving it to yourself, then going to work out, it sets the tone. I believe it sets the tone for the day, for the weeks, the months, the years, for life. And, you know, I 100% understand, you know, putting the family first. But I also understand, you know, giving yourself that self-care so that everyone around you gets the A+ version.
Yeah.
Because if they don't get the C-, the D version, they're not even going to notice how you're putting them first.
Yeah, I would completely agree with you. And I'm sure he'd be able to explain it. I didn't dive deep into it like that with him. Yeah. And I know he definitely takes care of himself too. I think just, you know, his priority is family all the time. But he is definitely, I mean, he's the one that is practicing gratitude and meditation. And I said, I'm stealing that from you. You know, I'm stealing the gratitude from you because I want to add on to it. And I absolutely enjoy that. So he definitely subscribes to taking care of his mind, and you know, he runs and works out and he does all this stuff too. But what you said that I really liked is that if you aren't taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of your family, because if your mind is jacked up, there's no way you're going to be able to deliver your best self to your family. And then on the inverse, if you're not delivering that to them, it's going to be hard pressed for them to, you know, deliver that support that we were talking way earlier back to you for whatever you're doing. But you definitely need to have that. You need to have that mutual agreement, that mutual connection, to where you guys are supporting each other and you both have clear minds. And I think another thing that people discount, when I first heard 5 minutes of meditation in the morning, I honestly, my honest to God was like, that's bullshit. Like 5 minutes is nothing. There's no way you're going to get something out of 5 minutes, you know, for real. Like that's what I was thinking. But I started doing it, and you know, I've been doing it over at least a week or so now. And I'm telling you that 5 minutes out of your entire day is way, way more important than doing, you know, if you're doing 15 or 30 minutes a couple times a week. So these 5 little minutes that are nothing. I mean, God, think about how many 5 minutes pass in our day that we're just like screwing off and doing something. So these 5 little minutes strategically positioned in the beginning of your day have more of an impact than an hour at the gym even sometimes. Because if I wouldn't have done that meditation, if I wouldn't have done that meditation, then I wouldn't be as effective at the gym. And then if I'm not as effective at the gym, I may be down on myself because I'm tired and because I don't like how I performed. Because I'm, you know, you go in there, you want to, if you're lifting or running or whatever you're doing like crap, it's going to affect you mentally. And then if you're starting your day off with these disruptions in your head and these distractions and all this stuff that's going on, then you're not going to be set up for success for the rest of your day, your work. And then when you're talking about coming home to your family and spending time with them, you're definitely not going to be right for them. And it's just this big circle that you need to, so it goes all the way back to this tiny little thing. I mean, you can think about it. You ever go hiking and you have a pebble in your shoe, and then you're like, it's the tiniest little thing. Or whether you're walking in the city or something, you know, you have a tiny little pebble in your shoe and you're like, I can't think about anything else because I got this pebble in my shoe, you know? So like this tiny little thing has way bigger of an impact. So this 5 little minutes in your life, I guarantee you will have a bigger impact on you than you think you know. And on the same time, an equally as important note is that you as an individual, you as a person, as a human being on this planet Earth, have absolutely a bigger impact on the world around you than you think you do. And you are most likely selling yourself short. And I'm not telling everybody that they're selling themselves short, but I will say, if you do a little bit of thinking, you look at your life, I guarantee you that you're selling yourself short. And that's no, you know, hack at anybody. It's saying you may have good goals for your life, but I think you can set them higher. I think you can get more out of yourself than you think you do. Because I know about myself, I can confidently say that there was many things that I was afraid to do, afraid for failure, or I was like, I'd never be able to accomplish that or get this in my life or get that job or whatever I'm doing. But when I set my goal above that and I try to get something higher, I may not get that, but I'm sure as shit gonna get what I want it to get.
Yeah, I like to call that like stretch goals. I had someone ask me, so what's your stretch goal for 2019? I said, you ready? I'm like, yeah. I said, I want to make $30,000 a month coaching. And they looked at me like, wow, like, is that possible? I mean, yeah, it's possible. It's possible. People do it.
It's definitely possible.
So when I say things like that, because I deal with mindsets as well as health coaching. So within that, I know for me to make $30,000 a month coaching or anywhere near that, that means I would have to do inward work, you know, inward change work from how I think. You know, from like how you were saying with like New Year's resolution. Most people fade out because a lot of people don't know what I'm about to say. Some people do. So it's like we call like a little critter brain. And when your critter brain is the part of your brain that wants to keep everything intact. This is what we know. This is what we do. Kind of like, you know, it's cheaper to keep them, or, you know, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. I hate both of those, but that's what people say. So this is what it leaves intact, though. Like, we have to leave this intact. This is what we know. Why are you changing? You know, why are you going anywhere? Why are you trying to be different? When they are stretching from that, so your brain might come up with little small things and say, hey, man, such and such is coming up. We might need to stop, or, look how hard it's getting. See, now you need to stop, or you're not plateauing as you thought you were, so now you need to stop. And so now, and most times people are told, like, man, just push through, because that is work for that person, that particular position, up until they maybe even plateau. Mm-hmm. And so what I tell people and what it truly is it shows that you're growing. Because if you have a rubber band and this rubber band is together, or it's like just close, everything is cool, it's loose, there's no stretching going on. But the minute you put it in the left hand, you put it in the right hand, and you start moving your right hand to the right, you will start noticing there's a new tension, which represents growth. Now, sometimes some people go too far and snap and don't know where they're going, or they just like, it's too hard, so I just need to go back to where I know. Mm-hmm. But instead of continually stretching and leaving your left hand or your old self in one position, move them both gracefully, and you'll continuously always be able to stretch. So this is why when I say, like, I'm here, I want to make $30,000 in my coaching. So with that regard is, when I run into those potholes, because they're not even roadblocks, just potholes. It's like, this is a part of what it is. You just gotta, look past it, appreciate this moment, appreciate those hard moments in your life, because those moments are where you're growing. It's an emotional weight, just like going to the gym. Physically, you don't get stronger unless you're pushing against something heavy. So emotionally, spiritually, life comes up. Like in 2016, my dad died, my uncle died, and I really didn't know how to handle all that. And I was boxing at this gym, and someone had told me, like, man, you might just need to stop boxing. Then my daughter was born, and I really did not mentally handle that as good as I could now, because it's a part of what will make you grow, what will make you stronger. Those little things like that is what a lot of times stops people from going, because most of the times they don't have anyone in their ear being able to tell them things like that, to let them know, like, hey, this is a part of your growth. To let them know, like, hey, this isn't a sign to turn around. You're making these signs to do this, and sometimes it's seen that people are giving up that power to say, hey, what does this sign mean to me? Like, what does this actually mean? What do I want this to mean? Taking control over that, and then telling them, well, here's an example. I remember I was running, right? I was running at the gym, and we had to run 10 miles. 5 miles one way, 5 miles back. And I tell you, I think this is probably like one of the hardest runs ever. And it was on the flat road. And so I had a leg injury and my ankle was hurting. And I'm 5 miles in, I'm 5 miles in, headed back. And I'm like, yo, this shit is unbearable. So then I said, said to myself, there's no need to start walking, though. There's no need to start walking, because honestly, you will not get there no faster than how you are right now. Mm-hmm. You start walking, your legs, everything will start like relaxing, tensing up, and everything was just hurt even more. And it was mind-boggling to me that I came up with that conclusion right in the middle of that run. I was just like, there's no need to start walking. So sometimes, and I gave that story to show what I defined that pain to be. It could have been painful to the point I could have quit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I decided, like, there's no need to keep on. There's no need to start walking. If you want to get this thing over with, you might as well jog and trot as best you can and get there and have that satisfaction knowing, like, yeah, I completed this in this amount of time. Because walking, I probably would have been 2 to 3 hours away from where I wanted to be.
Yeah, and you surprise yourself how you can push yourself still. When you think your body's hurting, it's usually your mind making it way worse than it actually is. And I find a lot of times, specifically when I run, not necessarily in the weight room or doing anything else, but specifically when I run, and you're talking about, 5-10 mile runs. Like, I know when I start running a little bit longer and longer distance, and my body starts hurting, and my body wants to slow down because I can feel, you can feel your pace when you're running. And the second, I did this experiment one, and it worked out really well, and I would challenge anybody to do it if they're trying to kind of break a plateau and they're running specifically. But you can feel your pace, your breath, or however you're just running. And the second you feel that you need to slow down because you're hauling as much as you can and you're miles into it, push harder. Now, I did this as an experiment, like I want to say, this is really funny, but I think it was a 10-mile run as well. And I was doing this, and I was on the way back too. Man, that's so funny. I'm like thinking about this. I was running back at the beach when I lived at the beach, and I was on the way back, and I was hurting so bad. And I knew my pace was slowing down, so I was like, you know what? I've been here before. And that's an important key to make real quick, though. If you've been there before, you can, definitely trick your mind into being like, you can push harder. But so I knew the second I slowed down, I was going to speed back up, and I was going to at least match my pace, if not go even faster. And I swear to you, the pain went away in no more than 30 seconds. And then it would happen again, maybe a couple minutes later, and I'd be like, there's no way. My head, the first thoughts are like, there's no way I can do this again. But I was sucked it up in those couple steps, and I pushed up. I caught my pace, and I pushed even harder, and then I did it for like a couple more minutes. And it's insane that your mind, like you were saying initially when you were given a rubber band analogy, I love that. I've actually never heard that before. But when you gave that, if you just go with it, sometimes, it's your body stretching. But if you just pull your mind with you in this running analogy, if you just push yourself and you just take your mind with your body, you will be blown away by the results. And I was blown away. There was a point that I did get to. I think I was in mile 9 or 9.5. I was almost done, and my body just was like, I was done. But that was about 3 to 4 more miles farther than I initially wanted to stop. I was about to fall over, So I think I use a lot of physical examples in this podcast. I use them for a reason because there's like a real life no shit metric that you can measure something by. You can see results right there in front of you. But I use that because it transfers right over into the mental state. You can push yourself harder because so many times, like I just described physically, it started up here in my head. Only when I decided that I was going to push myself harder did I actually run harder. And that may sound obvious, but I tell you, if you're a mile 6, 7, 8, 9, and you're not a super great runner like me, that's pretty difficult to be able to make that decision that you're going to match your pacer and then even, top it off. So you have to, you don't have to do any of this, but if you choose to better yourself mentally, and when it goes to everything we were saying, your friends, family, if you try to make that decision, you better not try. You need to make the decision, and your body might not want to do it. And whether it's a physical thing, if it's a mental thing, your career, you don't think you can push any farther, or it's a test, or it's a certification, or whatever you're trying to better yourself with, you're trying to read a harder book, you're trying to have a more in-depth conversation than you're used to having, you're trying to articulate yourself better. These are all things that I've been working on myself with for the past few years, and I specifically, one of the million reasons I want this podcast is to practice the way I speak, challenge my thought patterns. So I go out here and I'm trying to at least keep the pace. Every conversation, I'm trying to keep the pace. But at the same time, like sometimes I'm like, man, I don't know if I can go any further, like, because I have all these crappy thoughts that come in initially, but you have to learn how to block them out and be like, absolutely not. I'm going to continue to do this, and I'm going to continue to get better at articulating myself, better at talking, more comfortable in front of the camera and the microphone, because it's tough. And again, I want to say, like, I have this bad habit that I'm correcting myself. I'll say it's tough, but then, like, again, I said earlier in the podcast, it's really not tough when you make up your mind that you're going to do it and that you're going to better yourself. Because I think that if you make up your mind to do it, then you do those little things we were talking about throughout your day consistently. It's impossible not to see results if you consistently do it for a long period of time.
Yeah, man. Like how you don't like using the word tough. It's just the work. I think I said this to you. It's just the work is the work. I'm gonna say it again since people are listening. I think I heard a woman, Mandy Perry, say this. She was like, some people have to lose 80 pounds, some people have to lose 40 pounds, some people have to lose 20. but they still have to put in work. And the work that's going to be put in, when you realistically, mentally first, things may happen. And I've noticed that I do that a lot myself and with clients. It's not a visualization, because when you visualize, it's like you're sitting back and you're seeing yourself do these things. So mentally rehearsing is a method where you're visioning yourself in the future, but you're looking through your own eyes. And when you're doing that, your mind is taking you on a trip to actually feel what it's like to be there while you're not there. And it's shown to work with athletes that they're really rehearsing, every aspect of, a game, a competition, stepping into a meeting, getting on this podcast, mentally rehearsing how you want to speak. It's a neat exercise, really, because a lot of us are told, visualize yourself doing this, see yourself doing this. So what I'm saying is be yourself doing this before actually doing it.
Yes.
And you'll notice, it's a common thing. Like, you can do it when you meditate in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Say you're about to go in the gym, actually see yourself walking in the gym through your own eyes, doing these things, going past that max you might be able to push, whether it's squatting, benching, whatever you do. Visualize, I'm not visualize, even I say myself, rehearsing that in that moment. And then while you're like reaching that difficulty, if you will, even relax while you're mentally rehearsing and just see yourself pushing through or going through it. And you'll be amazed how the results affect over to the physical. People just we go through, because we all got crappy thoughts.
Yeah.
Hell, like sometimes I second guess myself. You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm like, man, I hope he allows me to come on the show because I'm black. But I used to tell myself those things because those are like limited beliefs. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly. So even with that, I name it like, like it's a certain thought, like, well, I'm not gonna be allowed to do this because, X, Y, Z. You know what I'm saying? But then I labeled this in my brain, like, that's because I'm not this thought. And once I've been able to label it in my brain as a thought that I don't control, it's been easily pushed to the side because it's not serving me. It's not giving me the experience I want to experience even before speaking to you. So for a half a second, I thought that, but I just kept typing like, you know what? Shit, it is what it is. He's going to accept me. He's not. And that's just that. And so I tell that to a lot of people, like, it's yes, it is, those type of things in the world. Yes, it's racism. Yes, it's sexism. Yes, it's all of this. And lots of the times people are telling themselves this in their head before they're presented to it.
Absolutely.
Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
If you were like that, you would never like my picture. You feel what I mean?
Yeah.
You would never like my post. And that's something that I felt like, if he was really like that, he would have never liked your post, Justin. He just scrolled on through.
Yeah.
It would never been a thought.
Yeah.
So, I tell it's a lot of beliefs we have that may be limited, and then it might be negative because it's not what. Sometimes you can't control some type of subconscious thoughts that just roll in your head, but you can the more times you give yourself positive thoughts.
Yeah, you have to catch it
the more
early.
time you think positive, the more time you think positive, the more time you go out there and you generate joy and you feed the positivity, your brain will then run into specific moments where it's like, we now just run off positivity now instead of just like I can't do this, this thought, this negative thought. Like, the brain just run off positive thoughts. And then it would reflect in your movement. Like, hey, I'm about to sit down with, let's just say you're about to sit down with a president of the United States. And beforehand, you might have been like, before I talk, you could have been like, man, I don't know how I would take that. But now it's just like, yeah, this is just another great moment. And he's going to feel that energy, or she's going to feel that energy, because that can't happen now. They're going to feel that energy, and once you, I feel myself, once you understand that you can really control a lot of what goes on in your mind, you'll have better experiences. And even like how you were saying with certifications, reading those books, I tell people, like, you want to do something different in your life, in your business, right? There might come a time like you might have to do things you've never done. Like, a lot of people I know, them hiring a coach might be absurd to them. Like, why would I do that? I could do it on my own. And in my brain, I say you can, but let's look at, have you really?
Yeah.
You know, exactly. A lot of the top people in the world would get a coach because they know the value of someone looking at you from the outside and pushing you there. Like look at every major experience in your life. You know how to ride a bike, right?
Yep.
You went from walking. Which walking is probably the only thing we've done on our own. So you went to walking. So now you're riding this bike. You had training wheels. Okay. So then with the training wheels, I don't know if this might particularly play out with you, but sometimes your parents are there or whoever is there to hold you, coach you along. You can do it. You get back down, they pick you up. You get back on the bike. You ride some more. And then until they let go of the seat pad and you're just going on, right? So you went from walking to riding the bike. So now you're going to drive in the car now. I don't know how it started for you, but for me, I remember my mom would only let me drive back out the driveway, and that's it. You know, it started in stages, and she was there as my mom or coach. So eventually I went from mom letting me back out the driveway to mom allowing me to drive the neighborhood, still being in the car, showing me the way, coaching me on the way, to driver's ed instructor. He's in the car. Now he's taking you to another level. You see where I'm going with this? Yeah. So sometimes, it can be books. It can be, you know, going different places. But sometimes there might be another way of getting what you want, doing something you've never done. Mm-hmm. You know, whether it's mentorships, whether it's like a different training technique that you never heard, or whether it's even, you know, getting a coach. You're being guided and coached to this next level. You know, because those things are there. Like you want a new level, you have to have new energy. You know, and it pays to have someone who's been there before, kind of like a corporation. Let's look at Facebook, for example. I think they have like one of the guys who created Netscape on the board. You have people there who've done what you're trying to do, or that can see where you're trying to go and help you get further. So all of those are ways that people can propel themselves to a higher version of themselves, into a better situation of themselves. And it's a beautiful experience because I know when I had one, only thing I could possibly see for myself was, you know, trying to talk to people I knew in my circle. But then, like, people in my circle around you might not recognize your gift. You know, people around you might not recognize your gift. So you have to go out, which could be scary, but you have to go out to people and attract those who see your gift. And that's a part of, like, the growth of life. Like how we were saying about family, like, they might not see the point of going vegan. Like, your parents might not understand, like, why I see in front of a camera on a microphone? Who does that? We didn't do that when we were growing up. Yeah, we know. You know, y'all guys really didn't have computers.
We know.
But anyway, you see what I'm saying? Like, you might have to, you have to get around people who understand your gift. Like you were saying earlier, like you have to get what you said for your life.
Yeah, you said an abundance of good points there, and two of them that I wanted to pick out is, one of them, you have to be okay with yourself. You have to check your ego to be able to get a mentor and accept, or, you know, whether that be a life coach or just somebody in your life that's literally doing just that, mentoring you. So I've been fortunate enough, you know, talking about gratitude, I've been grateful to pick up a mentor lately, and I'm just so excited because I'm so, you know, for the first time in my life, like a no shit mentor, and I'm so excited because I know that I've come so far, but I know that I have so far to go, and I would be lying to me and everybody in my life if I'd say that I knew how to get there, because I don't. Or else I'd be there already. I would have known how to, you know, create a bigger podcast. I would have known how to create a business. I would have known how to invest in X, Y, and Z. I would have known how to be a better husband and known how to be a better father. So when I would, you know, I selected this gentleman specifically because he's all of these things. And, you know, he's always working on himself too, obviously, or he wouldn't be where he is now. But you have to be okay with telling yourself that, you know, you have a long way to go too. You know, pat yourself in the back. You've done good. You know, tell yourself, I love you in the mirror. That's fine. But you can also still become a better you. Yeah. And then the second thing that I wanted to say is, you know, you had this for a second. You stop the thought that come in your head, but you have these preconceived notions that come into your head, whether that's instilled just from you or a lot of, I'd say with all of social media and news right now, a lot of it's societal. Like, you see it around you. Just people have these preconceived notions, you know, whether it be racism, sexism, or I don't give a shit what it is. Like, these are a lot of things that, unfortunately, you know, these thoughts do come into our head. Even before, like you said, even before we even talked, that thought came in your head. But you cut it. You're like, this is crazy, you know, because we hadn't even talked, and then you talked yourself through it, which I like that you explained that, and that was very vulnerable to share that. So I'm very thankful that you did share that. You know, like, he wouldn't have looked at my page, he wouldn't have liked this stuff, I wouldn't even be replying to your direct message. Are you kidding me? You know, like, things like that. So, like, why would I have a conversation if I truly was a shadowy person like that? Why would I, you know? Why would I do that? So I think you need to, just because these thoughts come into your head, you need to be able to talk yourself through it and be like, well, has this even happened yet? And the answer in this scenario was absolutely not. The exact opposites happened, but you recognize that really quick. So I'm always very, very happy when people I talk about myself. I always give myself an examples when I'm trying to explain some things. And I think that's the best way to teach from experience. And that's a very humbling thing for me to hear you say that. So those are two good things. And mentorship, and, you know, you were talking about, you know, doing things incrementally, your mom helping you with, you know, backing out of your driveway, and little things like this. That's just life, man. That's training wheels on the bike. You know, you're crawling, then you're walking, then you're riding with training wheels, then you're riding by yourself, and all these things. This is just life, man. You have to be able to know that it's okay to start slow, but just keep on moving, keep on crawling. Then you're going to be walking, and it's okay to ask for help. And don't succumb to all these preconceived notions that are in the world around us today, no matter what they are. Make up your own mind, see the world around you, see the information around you, interpret it, you know, do your own due diligence with the world around you, and then use that as power, as fuel to keep on making these decisions that you're making in your life. Like, I hope to see you on more and more and more podcasts, and I want to have more and more guests on my show, and I guarantee you, I know it's going to happen. And if I don't know if you want to do more podcasts, hopefully this was an enjoyable series. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you're going to do it. And I hope this fuels your fire in the sense of, you did it here, so you know you can do it. And once you start knocking things out, and that's why, like, another reason that consistency is so deadly for fear and failure, because yes, you're going to have fear, and yes, you're going to have failure, but consistency kills that stuff off, because when you constantly do that, it gets easier and easier.
Here's something else too I did with the baby analogy. You're going to notice this. Like, when babies first start walking, they fall down and they get up smiling. You feel me? And everybody around them is clapping them on.
Yeah.
You feel me? So you come into the scene, failure is failing. It's not till you get older that you think you're failing. But you came into this world, pushed through. Some might have the umbilical cord wrapped around the neck, got over that. You know what I mean? Might have, they don't even have chicken pox for kids no more, but I had a chicken pox, got over that. Ear infections, you got over all of this. But with walking specifically, babies walk a little bit, fall. Let me get back up. Like, and that's something we missed growing up. Like, we lost that growing up. Like, when because I realized that with my daughter, I'm like, yo, she really falls down, walks, she got back up, like, yay! Like, yo, she's really happy she got back up and walked. That simple point in life, and it's like, you know, you're making a big deal for fall down for nothing. You know, like, if you fall down and you're dead, then you're not supposed to get back up. That's the only time you're not supposed to get back up, when you're dead. I know you probably heard of Dr. Sean Stevens, is 3-foot giant.
I don't know if I
saw him. Yeah. Okay, he's a cool individual. He's real cool. I forgot what the name of this was he was born, but he's only 3 feet. But he did this exercise. He showed us how his morning routine was when he worked out in the morning, and he still works out. You know, he works out, and he was like, he said, I'm trying to realize what your excuses are in life. You know, trying to realize why you see failure as a stopping point. And I get it. You know, the older you get, you perceive failure. You know, adults down you for failure. Your circle tells you you're failing. You don't want to be a failure. But you grew up falling down and getting up. And that was noticing that in my daughter And you'll notice that in yours as well. When she starts walking, and you might DM me about this. But you'll just smile on her face to get back up and go around, and you and your wife were like, yeah, you're doing great. Got back up, go around, and then don't have her start walking around the entire family. You're gonna start seeing an amazing thing where your daughter, falls and gets up, and then it's like you're thinking like, where did we start thinking that falling down was failure, or when did we start perceiving failure as something so negative?
Absolutely, I love that, Justin. Like that's a perfect note to end on. Just talking about family and talking about failure in that sense of how we were thrown into this world. Some of us with the umbilical cord on, but you got through that. It's just a great thing to think about that we grew up with everybody cheering us on when we were falling down, when we were banging our knees up. So why? Because you're trying to walk. So you're trying to do something. You're trying to be better. You're trying to walk as a child. So why not? We cheer on your friends when they're doing something and they're failing. Get up, brush your shoulders off, and cheer them on. Mm-hmm. Do it again, man. You got this. You got it. Justin, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm trying to pick my words here because there's so many things I want to see you do. But I love everything you said. You said some things I've never heard before. I love hearing things for the first time. I'm really excited to see what you do. I would also like a direct message when you hit the 30K a month. I know that you will do it. Your mind is amazing. It's exactly where it needs to be. But at the same time, just like I tell myself every single day, and I'm telling you right now, your mind, you can still grow it. I know we talked about it. Still push. You obviously know that. I don't got to tell you twice. But just keep on pushing. You are capable of way more than you think you are. 30K. I love that stretch goal. Absolutely. But you're going to get past 30K.
Thank you. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
You.
What's
been a pleasure.
Yeah, what's your Instagram handle, or what's the best way for people to find you?
Instagram, BitcoinVegan, BitcoinVegan, BitcoinVegan. Yeah, man, you can follow me on there. Also, BitcoinVegan on YouTube. And I have a group that I coach with called the Coaching Crew on YouTube. I know I throw a lot out there, but you can press play and rewind it back. So yeah, BitcoinVegan on Instagram, BitcoinVegan on YouTube. And you can also find me at the Coaching Crew on YouTube as well. And yeah, man, I look forward to watching this grow and seeing you have one of those Tom Bilyeu shows on YouTube.
Yeah, man.
It's called Peace Man, man.
Yeah, man.
It's coming for you.
I'm looking for it.
You have the right mentality too. Like, when I saw Evan Carmichael, I was like, "Word, Evan Carmichael? Wow, all right."
Yeah, I'm
bold.
bold.
I mean, it's like you have the way to get to the people you like. It's a thing called the 6 degrees of separation. You really hone in on. You really 6 degrees from possibly anybody in the world. So it's like you have this gift of getting to people that normal people would not feel they could get to. So it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm much less than 6 degrees away from everybody I want to talk to right now. I'm maybe 1 or 2 degrees because I am absolutely relentless with getting a hold of people. Anybody that's I've contacted for the show that I've really wanted will tell you that. But Justin, absolutely a pleasure. I look forward to keeping in touch with you. Feel free, always reach out. I'd be love to see what you're doing. Just keep on pushing out the content. I mean, you have so much knowledge in your head that I just want to see you continue to share to everybody that follows your journey and that you're coaching as well, man.
All right, thank you, man.
All right, have a good night, Justin.
You too, bye.